We're back, but for real this time. Yeah, I've arisen from my slumber, and I think they sorted out the issue. I think it was a PC issue or something, not entirely sure. It gave Hunter enough time, at least, to raid the Library of Alexandria to find some ban strategies, I'm sure. Crazy Raccoon versus Spacestation Gaming. We're about to get into this one, the first map, coming up in just a moment.
And this is going to be, hopefully, a good match. I mean, we take a look at Crazy Raccoon, the second seed coming in from Asia Pacific, going up against Spacestation, which is also going to be the second seed of North America. And yeah, I mean, it's been quite some time. I hope the players have been able to actually stay warm for this one.
He's fine.
Maybe just getting into Zen mode before we go in.
CJ, you got to get up, my guy. Upright the seat, get into game. There's the bans. Winston for Crazy Raccoon. Spacestation Gaming banning Farah. If you've only just joined us, this is the perfect time. We're about to jump in. Ilios is the map. And yeah, we spoke about it before the obviously extended break there, Rose, but an expected 2-0 for Crazy Raccoon here. I think anything else would honestly be a little bit of a disappointment for them.
Especially when they took all of the 2024 inaugural OWCS season and didn't drop a single map to a Western team. They do not want that trend to start now, especially when this is a huge tournament and just huge prestige on the line for this team. Crazy Raccoon in the APAC finals honestly had a disappointment themselves. After
That is an insane... What?
Wow.
Yeah, that's facts. There he is. There's the man himself. I'd run away from that.
He's too tall.
He's too tall,
He's actually just too tall.
We were just talking about it. Like, how tall is Johnny versus Lip? Johnny is taller than Lip. Not by much, though. 7-foot gaming warlord,
I mean, both of them are just too tall.
Yeah, way too tall.
So.
It is really funny watching Lip walk out with the rest of his team. Shu's pretty tall, though, as well, to be fair. So it's both of them, and everybody else is kind of short. It's
like
kind
a
of
whole head taller than everybody else.
Yeah, seriously. All right, there you go. Lenny got his hands warmed up, ready to rock and roll. CJ, chair upright. Coach is shaking hands. There it is. Secrets exchange. Good lucks and well wishes either side as we're about to rock and roll. Here we go. Crazy Raccoon versus Spacestation Gaming. We're in it, Famalams. It's a little late over here, and I can't wait to get this one started to see how Crazy Raccoon end up matching up.
A lot of people coming into this tournament expected that dive was going to be one of the more prominent strategies for these teams to go for. So the fact that the Winston is banned out right now means that we get a chance to see something maybe a little bit more interesting come to the table for this first map of the series.
Crowd's very ready as well. Just praying for no more pauses, although I can see. I call this the ant cam because everybody looks like ants. And there we go. We're in game. Round of applause at home. We finally did it. We are here. Crazy Raccoon and Spacestation Gaming. And is that what I think it is?
Looks like it.
Oh, yes. Some of that, please.
Wrecking Ball is one of Junbin's best heroes, so with Winston off of the table, it feels like it's natural for Junbin to go in the direction of being able to go for the Wrecking Ball. But on the other side of things, Seeker going to opt to try to play the Sombra, maybe playing into the hands of the Spacestation strategy just a little bit, despite the fact that Winston got banned out. This is something that Spacestation can actually prep for now, having the Sombra as a perfect target anti-Wrecking Ball strategy.
It can be so hard, though, to be fair, to lock down that Wrecking Ball. Junbin's not going to stay around for too long. And Seeker's ability to stay in fights now that you can't go permanently invisible can be quite tough. Kellen does get anti there by Shu. Seeker goes down first, though. Lip chasing him. However, they do end up trading for Chorong. Sugar Free a little bit low, though. Only one blink to his name. Lip trying to chase him out. No recall for Lip either, though. There goes Shu. Okay, Bliss with the double kill. There's actually a trade back and forth. Crazy Raccoon do own the point. And own Kellen's mech as well. 1 HP on that mech on the high ground. And there is the D-suit. Crazy Raccoon are on the board.
Yeah, I mean, despite the trades here, Crazy Raccoon taking control of the point first and eventually taking control of those damage trades later on. Junbin actually gets hacked out here, and this is where you can see the power of this Sombra. Seeker, though, is going to have a pretty tough go of things. Not only are you trying to target down this Wrecking Ball, but you also need to make sure that you can keep yourself a part of the equation of these team fights.
You have to act a lot quicker now as the Sombra. Like I said, that limited invisibility can just be such a pain. Normally you'd want to like hang around on the periphery, wait for the ball for the engage, but you can't do that anymore. And already actually spotted out on the high ground, so Not too much longer can Seeker stay around, attempted the hack there, but Junbin was about 50 miles away from him. Pulse bomb thrown out by Sugar Free, just a swing and a miss there, a little bit of damage on Shu, but that's about it.
Kind of all you're going to get out of that one as Spacestation Gaming look to have to reset for this next engage. Kellen's coming in with maybe this Diva Bomb, but just to be able to get a reset here, but you're missing a lot of these other critical engage tools, like Secrecy and P.
Seeker's dead again, and it's been so hard for Spacestation to actually get a kill. Like, a single kill is all that we need to maybe find a fight on the point, but Crazy Raccoon are not giving them a single inch to work with.
No breathing room for Spacestation Gaming, and in fact, Crazy Raccoon are actually going to take the fight to them. With these Wrecking Mines available from Junbin, that's one way that you can just kind of layer them onto the main and make it so much easier for Hisang to get an angle. There's just too many tools here for Crazy Raccoon, and Spacestation don't have this EMP yet as they're working on
Bliss
some
died.
overtime.
Bliss died to Mines, and he had the beat. That was their real saving grace. Seeker 1% away from the EMP, but I think unfortunately for Seeker, fight's already done. Spacestation Gaming. They got choked out. Man, 100-0. Is anybody surprised? I mean, this is Crazy Raccoon we're talking about.
Not super surprised about that outcome, but maybe a little bit surprised that Spacestation didn't have a bit more say in a lot of those fights. Especially when they put so much value on being able to target down something like the Wrecking Ball. Felt like that strategy fell flat. I almost kind of want to see Spacestation Gaming go back to not necessarily trying to defend away from this particular strategy from Crazy Raccoon, but try to actually play a little bit more fast-paced, like with their own, I don't know, maybe just not the Secret Sombra. It just doesn't feel like Spacestation to me.
Lip is hounding him down too. And that's what you need to do as the Tracer. Just permanently tagging the Sombra. She's only got one Translocator to get away with, and Lip's gonna save a couple of blinks. Looks like Chorong might be switching. Okay, Crazy Raccoon go back to the Brigitte. A bit better on this map too, hanging out with Shu. You're expecting dives to come in, of course.
I love the whip. I just like the shield bash or even the whip shot to be able to deal with the Tracer or the Sombra. I think there's a lot of reasons why this Brig would give you a little bit more utility in this particular matchup. Look at Junbin getting hacked though, does have to play a little bit more careful, but you can tell that's kind of the game plan here for Spacestation, is make Junbin's life very difficult.
Yeah, Junbin do be falling right now. I mean, yeah, CJ's already dead. A slam, Lip follows up. I mean, this really does feel like taking a hedge trimmer to a single blade of grass. It feels complete overkill for Crazy Raccoon. Backline down though, but quickly traded. Look at that, instantly. It's like, oh, we got the kill on Chorong and Shu, great. Oh wait, Hisang and Junbin and Lip just killed everybody. Okay, well, Crazy Raccoon end up capping the point again, and Junbin is on the high ground.
Take a look at this though. Spacestation are finally going to make an adjustment in their strategy, putting Kellen on this hazard. This is a hero that we've seen Spacestation go for in some of these dives. Maybe this will help them engage a little bit better, knowing that Kellen can actually go in, maybe isolate somebody on Crazy Raccoon.
Zeke's having a tough time of it as well, Rose. Like you said in that last round, tough for him to stay in and then actually get that EMP. Only got it online at the very last moment. He's 47% on EMP right now. Good whip shot, actually, from Chorong there, stopping Kellen with a dive.
There's still time for Seeker to be able to get this EMP online, but I think it's like it's going to take a lot of this coordination from Spacestation to actually win a team fight here.
He's dead. Junbin down. Now's the chance to strike. Hisang. Oh, well, they got two Tracers now. Uh-oh. Sound barrier coming through from Bliss. Nice little sit there from Lip. Holding up the arm, though, is Kellen, so reduced damage there on the hazard. And guess who's back in the action? Oh, it's Junbin. He's got mines in a couple of moments. They didn't even let the point go. A duplication, a pulse bomb thrown out. Kellen, Seeker down. And, oh, Spacestation knocked clean out of orbit. There's no chance you win in this fight, not against that rally, and we are looking at final fight territory woes with Mind and Nano Boost still in the tank.
And a very similar situation to what we saw in that last round, where Seeker is still 15% away from being able to get this EMP, and it still takes setup for Spacestation to be able to execute on that particular game plan. And so while Crazy Raccoon are going to be in the driver's seat here, going to walk into all these mines.
Okay, what is Chorong doing up there? I mean, they're super far forward. I mean, surely Shu dies. He's got Nano, deploys it onto Hisang. Seeker has got the CMP, but he needs to touch. He needs to be a presence on the point. And actually locking someone down is going to be tough. They end up hacking Junbin, but he was already on the high ground. Seeker ends up falling, a good sleep onto Kellen, and now still Spacestation Gaming need to find another pick for this to be worth it. The EMP found basically nothing, but Kellen actually settles the score. Chorong falls down to the Mantis Blades as the downpour does manage to connect and kill Shu.
Shu goes down, but Hisang is quick to follow up on Kellen, and the backline for Spacestation Gaming are starting to falter. With these reinforcements coming back from Crazy Raccoon, might just be a matter of time before Lip is able to lay the pulse bomb, but Spacestation finally get a flip. This is where they have to start to turn things around, but it's such a tall order. Maybe the support ultimates coming online for Bliss and CJ, but Crazy Raccoon, they aren't missing a step here.
Yeah, that sound barrier and that rush just so crucial. Look at that defense there from CJ. Narrowly escaping this life there. Did Bliss has got the sound barrier now. With the pulse bomb, looking like they want to try and force this one out of him before they try any meaningful step into this fight. A couple of trays there. Shu and Seeker ends up going down. There's still Jumpin still in this fight. Sugarfree with no recall and no blinks left to his name is getting chased by Jumpin. Three-man sound barrier for Spacestation Gaming as the duplication comes in onto Hisang. And look at this! They've just walked him in! Someone help my mans! Kellen is super low, just forced into this small corridor. A free downpour as well, straight on top of your head. Hisang just does it better as Crazy Raccoon end up getting the flip.
They're gonna get the flip, and it looks like they're gonna get the map as well as the round expires. And Crazy Raccoon, they kick off this series with a dub.
Yeah, hello 2-0 there for Crazy Raccoon. 46% on that second round, but full control, full presence there from Crazy Raccoon. And the tempo, the speed in which they play, you're not really shocked at that at all, but and Spacestation shouldn't be either. But it feels like when you go onto a LAN environment like this, and especially in a first to two, things can really start to snowball and slip out of your hands a little bit quicker than you may expect.
Well, a good call out on your part that like that second round did look a little bit better. I mean, the fact that Kellen switched over to the Hazard gave them a little bit more presence on the point. And I mean, just getting 46% I think is still a huge deal. A lot of investment from Spacestation to go into this Sombra strategy, and it takes time to build up to an EMP, and I don't know if that payoff was quite worth it.
They kind of knew what was going to happen though. I mean, you touched on that at the very start of the map. It's like, okay, Winston gone, so ball. So obviously right now we're going to run out as the Sombra. Sombra did get a little change, of course, like I mentioned a couple of times there, where you can't just perma be invisible anymore. You do have that small timer, so Lip is able to kind of chase you out. Same with Jumpin, to be fair, in a way. You still get interrupted when you get hacked, but when you go for a hack, like it is hard for Seeker to find a lot of value, even though it's the perfect counter.
I do think that Seeker was doing a relatively good job of being able to manage the translocator cooldown. It just gave him a lot of extra mobility to make sure that you could get away from some of these more like crowd control-y type of skills that Crazy Raccoon had on the team. But I mean, still, if you're getting forced to translocate out, it means that you're not having much say in the damage department for the team, and I do think that just makes the overall job of Spacestation a little bit harder. I mean, take a look at how Kellen kind of gets caught out here, and I mean, what a statement from Hisang, like just that, you know, dupe the Hazard and then lock the opposing Hazard in.
That double wall was a little devious, I will say. That was, yeah, not exactly somewhere Kellen wanted to be. Literally trapped in a little jail cell.
We don't like tiny Overwatch. Yeah. Most of the time.
Kellen definitely doesn't. Especially with the wall too, because you get like bounced around when you get hit by it.
Oh,
it's super annoying.
It's so, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing him one better there. So now moving on to a Spacestation map pick. Obviously, Winston is still on the table here. Do you reckon they'll go for a map that's less catered to that? Maybe they still want to run something like a Hazard? Like you said, Kellen looks pretty good on it.
I think you could realistically see Esperanza, Saravasa. Yeah. I think any of those maps would still cater to a Winston, but also still allow you to play something like the Hazard if you felt like that Winston dive or the Winston mirror wasn't necessarily working out. I also think that it wouldn't be a bad call for Spacestation to maybe pick something like Junkertown.
Give us a King.
Yeah, I mean, King's Row would also be great.
Or a Blizzard World. I know Jake hates Blizzard World, but I really like it.
I like Blizzard World. I like the aesthetic of Blizzard World.
I don't like pushing third, but first and second are really fun. Very different points to kind of navigate. So yeah, we'll see where they want to go. Of course, this is Spacestation's chance to pick, and they'll be banning first as well. So again, coming into this, you're thinking Crazy Raccoon. They're definitely gonna, well, Mitch was saying, you know, a little 2-1, but I think a lot of people had this on the cards as Crazy Raccoon just kind of blasting them away. But, you know, signs of life at the very end. Can't imagine we're going to see a whole lot of Sombra. I mean, normally you're seeing Seeker rock up on something like a Sojourn, which is maybe where you want to go to a bit of a slower map where Seeker can really, really shine.
I think just anything that's going to give you those more long-range sight lines does benefit Space Station, but I think it benefits Crazy Raccoon as well. But kind of as we were discussing, you've got Esperanza as a dive map on the table, so kind of doesn't surprise me that Space Station wants to go that route, but take a look at those bans. We've got Cassidy and Brig coming out here.
Interesting, yeah. So Space Station also want to go kind of fast, but first, Crazy Raccoon is like, we don't really mind this Brig ban because we have Chorong already, and Chorong's Lucio is just cracked, and then we have Shu. So I'd imagine what we're going to be running here is just kind of good old-fashioned dive. Like, we're just going to have the Winston jump into the backline, and we're going to have an Ana set up with those nades, and then Chorong just doing what Chorong does best and just kill people on Lucio solo. So
yeah, just do Lucio things.
Exactly, yeah. Where do you think Seeker's going to go from here? How is he going to actually pivot?
I feel like I just want to see Space Station play like the similar game plan of go Sojourn Tracer. There's a big reason why a lot of these Winston teams decided to go for those particular DPS. I think the Cassidy ban is a little telling. I also think that maybe Seeker could go in the direction of maybe playing something like Ashe Tracer, but you kind of need to have the long-range hit scan.
If anybody doesn't follow Crazy Raccoon on socials, you definitely should. The artwork they've made for the players is honestly incredible. You can see it, the little sign there. Each individual person on the team, and even the support staff as well, they've got their own characters. It is really sick. Esperanza is the pick for Space Station Gaming. Hey, I ain't lying. German can still run out with a wrecking ball here. I would like to see some, like you said, a little bit more slow-paced from Space Station. Don't want to get bowled over too early. See if Lenny can be the big difference maker as well. Maybe he does need that flu game.
I feel like it's still a call of Space Station trying to be the pace setters. You know, I feel like Sombra can be very reactive, and I would love to see that more proactive gameplay coming out from Space Station. So I don't know. We'll see if that's something that they can execute on. But it's still a tough ask, right?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, you were playing against Crazy Raccoon, the best in the world. I mean, even Cuffer was saying it as well in the little interview with Danny we had. He's like, look, we know they're the best in the world. Like, all their players are cracked. The team as a whole is just ridiculous. It's them or Falcons, and Crazy Raccoon and Falcons. That rivalry has been going on for the last couple of years, and it has been a spectacle every single time both those teams log into the server. Looks like we're going in though, and I can see a little screen peek there. Seeker hovering the Sojourn.
I'm telling you, I mean, this is what we've seen Space Station play the last couple of weeks. So it was a bit of surprise to me to see that Seeker wanted to go to play the Sombra, which is just not a hero that we've seen him play super often, when the key to success for Space Station has been Winston, Tracer, Sojourn. Having CJ maybe play the Ana or the Juno and then go for Bliss on something like the Lucio or Brig. Very standard type of Winston dive gameplay.
Helen on your screen there just a second ago. Here we go, getting into game. Yep, there is the hover. Unfortunately, yeah, I think Shu is going to play Kiriko. I always want the Ana, but if you're in these really super fast dives, like, the Ana's not as good. Obviously, the enemy plays Kiriko, you use the antis, and obviously your mobility a lot higher on the Kiriko, especially with that double dash perk as well. Two small swift steps, so sick.
And it just makes sure that you're not going to be the one that gets dove first. I think that was something that we did see on Ilios, and so maybe just make sure that you aren't going to be that person that's going to be that target. But it's going to be a complete mirror on both sides here, as you do see Seeker truly lock into the Sojourn. I'm excited to see how we're going to get that done.
Okay, Titan down, Lip already dead. Traded by Seeker though, all onto the Tracers now. We'll see if Hisang and Jumbin, yeah, just demolishing the backline, and this is going to be it. It's the trades of the backline. How long can you realistically stay alive? Suzy used by CJ, no Swift Step. And to be honest with you, Swift Step probably wouldn't have landed him all too far away from Junbin there, as the rest of his team were just hodling around him.
I mean, this is still going to be a team fight win that maybe Space Station can stall out. You still have the reinforcements coming back. Kellen is still alive, has these Winston bubbles, but there's so much pressure from Crazy Raccoon to try to burst those and get that frontline access.
No greedy there from Hisang, not blowing the recall. knowing that Shu is pretty close by. Doesn't want to blow that resource too early. There's the jump onto the high ground. Attempted boot from Bliss. Doesn't stop Jumpin getting up there.
Wow, he's saying his post-bomb already and sticks Kellen.
Good stick. Yeah, good follow-up as well. Jumps straight over the top and live out a railgun with his name on it. At least Seeker takes him down, but this will slowly fall apart here for Spacestation Gaming. Unless Sugar Free can continue his spree. He's already taken down Chorong, and this spot is still being contested.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a couple of trades that make this an indecisive team fight win for Crazy Raccoon.
Oh,
so Spacestation actually steal the bot away.
Sugar Free just went absolutely nuclear there at the very end. Jumpin jumps towards that mega health pack, but Kellen was spawning.
This is the type of performance that we need to see out of Sugar Free, though, especially when we see these dives. Sometimes it falls on the DPS to try to be those difference makers. And when it comes down to Spacestation being able to take a map off of Crazy Raccoon, I think we have to see Sugar Free and Seeker really show up in the server. And that's why I'm excited to see Seeker on the Sojourn, a pick that he has found so much success with in this first stage of OWCS for the season. Maybe something that can really take it to lip.
Suzy used pretty early. Both rushes are available. Beats coming online as well in his second, but Seeker already down. Happy with the progress, I'd imagine, Spacestation Gaming, but CJ still wants to push this towards this checkpoint. Another rush coming through from Shu as well. Sound barrier unleashed from Crazy Raccoon. They've got to deal with this Primal Rage and Winston in their face, but they're going to take the fight to the back line of Spacestation Gaming as Bliss falls. And Spacestation getting kind of run over. Bot stolen. It's Crazy Raccoon. And now in the lead, or in control of it at least.
Yeah, I mean, Jumpin just had the later Primal Rage there, was able to get that resource on quite quickly. Lip is now going to be on a bit of an angle to try to get some access to Spacestation as they sort of make their way back in. Going to have the overclock ready and just lets it rip.
Yeah, just creating a lot of space here. Kellen's on this high ground, he's super low as well. Doesn't, wants to get back to the rest of his team and no one can peek, so he's in a catch-22 situation. Crazy Raccoon might take the lead here as well. They're going to try and push all the way to Spacestation spawn, trying to force Sugar Freeze to press his recall button, and he did so. So he's going to have to play safe for a little while.
I mean, he's saying could just get a stick here as well, and that's just going to be that first checkpoint.
Not quite. Sugar Free does manage to blink on there, and Seeker unleashes the railgun. Okay, he's in a prime position. As he's saying, gets his face torn off. Seeker with a triple.
I mean, this again speaks to where we want to see Spacestation start to carve out these opportunities. And it starts with Seeker being able to put on the carry pants and show us what he's got on the Sojourn. And Overclock, not just the perfect ultimate to do that, but I think just Seeker being able to have these charged railgun shots are what's going to really open up these fights for Spacestation.
Sugar and Freeze, a nice little spot there on the high ground. Chooses to now potentially look at Jumpin and juggle the bot. Really tough spot for the Tracer to be in it. Wants to find entrance, but Seeker's actually going to unlock the door for Spacestation Gaming. Yeah, look at this. The difference here between the Sombra and the Sojourn for Seeker is night and day.
And they're going to have that first checkpoint activated. So now they've got those forward spawns to play around with, and they're already starting to hold this corner. Crazy Raccoon know, though, this is where they're going to have to start to turn things around. He says he's going to be the one that has the pulse ball, but it's going to be the Kitsune rush around the corner that gets Spacestation through. Yeah,
Jumpin's now trapped on the wrong side of the team fight. Supports a recall of Heesang, so this could be easy pickings for Sugar Free, but it's Seeker again. Back-to-back deaths there on the side of Heesang. Here comes the rush, the return one. It's a 4v5 on the point. Seeker still with the dash, and look at this firing line he's got right now. Still has to be careful. He's in enemy territory currently, but still, leave Heesang alone, Seeker, please. Straight from the spawn, just 180s, clicks him in the head. Okay, Crazy Raccoon, they still lost control of this bot, Rose.
Yeah, I mean, Spacestation Gaming, we're still pushing there. Not before we see Crazy Raccoon start to turn things around. They finally got their bearings together as Spacestation do have to back up. And Crazy Raccoon, they've got ultimates. So while Spacestation have the lead now, there's still 4 minutes and 40 seconds to play around with. And Juma's got Primal Rage. We've got Sound Barrier as well here from Chorong. And he's saying with a Pulse Bomb.
Sound Barrier engagement. Oh, Chorong so close to Ajaxing, but they're going to carry on this pursuit of this Lucio. A little bit too slippery, though, for Spacestation Gaming. A good stick, but an instant preface to the Primal Rage, and Lip falls at the hands of Eleni. Jumpin does end up using his own Primal Rage here, but it's looking a little worse for Crazy Raccoon right now. Seeker dodges out of the way of Jumpin, kept alive. CJ and Bliss keeping him up for a little bit longer than maybe he should have been. Eventually, Crazy Raccoon will win it, but they are still in a deficit in terms of meterage right now. If Spacestation Gaming managed to reconvene here. They should be able to touch before the lead is gained.
The bot's gonna have to take a couple of seconds to start to push this barricade and then be able to capture this checkpoint. And unfortunately, there just isn't a touch that can come through. Spacestation Gaming know that they've got to group up as a team of 5 before they can go in and start to contest this spot. But Crazy Raccoon are starting to turn things around. Lip is gonna be the one that has his overclock now, and look at how far back they're able to push Spacestation.
Yeah, look at that. Easy space creation tool there for Lip. I mean, Kellen had nothing to say in that fight. I mean, you pop the bubble down, you jump away, and then no one else wants to peek. They're going to get their faces ripped. And Crazy Raccoon, they're taking the lead, Rose.
Taking the lead and might even be able to extend that now. With this Kitsune rush from Shu, they're going to be able to play around the straightaway.
Okay.
CJ is a couple of percentage away, but look at the wraparound.
They're so passive, though. They got to go. Go buttons pressed. Both rushes on the point now as Hee-Sang looking towards the back line, but Chorong also already falls. It's a 4-on-5 as CJ is taking another kill. But still, we're in the danger zone now. 3 minutes to go and about a 30-meter deficit for Spacestation Gaming. And with how deep the bot has pushed, it can be a very, very tough fight to win on that small stretch.
It can be hard. Spacestation have to win 2 fights in a row here in order to actually try to take the lead. But they're starting to work up to a potential win condition. Sugar Free still has this pulse bomb. You can also see that the sound barrier is starting to come up, but it's going to be about this neutral fight. If you're going to be able to match in terms of those ultimate utilities, then it's like, again, it comes down to Seeker, Lip, on these Sojourns, actually opening things up here with a pick, and Seeker's been able to do that for a couple of team fights now, but it's got to start racking it up here.
Soundbar is available from both Lucios right now with Seeker, public enemy number 1. Both beats hit. Kellen didn't receive the sound barrier though. Should be the focus fire right now for Spacestation, but Hee-Sang! Double pulse bomb kill. Bliss Seeker obliterated. And 96 meters is looking also juicy for Crazy Raccoon now. Hee-Sang getting his sweet revenge. That's beautiful stuff. A team kill, and they're going to get forward spawns, Rose. I said it was a danger point in the terms of the time bank earlier on, and now even more so, 1 minute and 30 to go.
Really coming down to the wire here. Space-Station have 0 room for error. Not again, back in this territory. A needing win like 2 or 3 team fights in a row.
Wait.
No way.
Jumping in the spawn, kills Bliss. They're going to extend their lead a little bit further. This deep primal rage, and he's still going too. What are you doing here, Seeker? Oh, not on my watch. 1 minute and 20 seconds to go, and we're going to just extend this lead. A primal rage from Kellen to try and settle some sort of score here, but he finds absolutely nothing. And oh, Bliss, hello. Nice to see you. There's a minute now, and this proactive play from Crazy Raccoon, this probably nets them the series.
Looks like it, especially because Lip is going to just sit with the spawn room doors in his sights with the overclock ready to go. And how does Spacestation have to get out of spawn?
What is Blood doing in the spawn? Jumpin is literally touching the spawn doors right now. Both overclocks have been used on this straightaway, but 126 meters and counting for Crazy Raccoon. There's a couple of rushes being thrown out here, but Spacestation Gaming need an absolute miracle and then more to try and find the win. Kellen super low, Seeker dead. I mean, the pulse bomb goes a little bit wide, but honestly, at this point, it might be all for naught. The bot in control. Sugar Free tried to steal it away there to try and turn the ire of Crazy Raccoon. But unfortunately for Spacestation, Crazy Raccoon are not here to mess around.
And they might even be able to just finish the map out here. They still have the sound barrier in their pocket as these respawns for Spacestation Gaming are coming through.
Sound barrier and Bliss is 20% away. Beat comes in, it hits 4, Seeker down, Primal Rage to boot. I mean, this is a full cap from Crazy Raccoon, no doubt about it. I mean, Bliss, he's got beaten too. Can he actually get it off? That's the question. He's in the spawn. Jumpin is pushing them back in with the Primal Rage, and that's gonna be all she wrote. Crazy Raccoon just bowling over Spacestation on, honestly, what will look a fairly competitive game from them. A very early lead garnered, but it is all Crazy Raccoon, and it always is.
Wow. What another statement being made here by Crazy Raccoon as they win this map with a full cap and just start out their run in this tournament with a 2-0.
I mean, you're not expecting anything less. It looked very competitive, though, to be fair. Spacestation, they ended up getting the checkpoint early. Seeker had a marvelous performance on the Sojourn, but stronger heads prevailed there as Crazy Raccoon finished out the series with a 2-0 advance in the upper bracket. Lenny and Liv giving each other a swift little hug there as now we see Spacestation drop into lowers.
I think this was still a match. Maybe we would have expected this as the outcome, but I have a lot of hopes for Spacestation after
100%.
seeing just how Esperanza went for them, especially in those early couple of minutes. I think if Seeker continue to have performances like that, Sugar-Free as well, and as long as the team can keep their heads held high, I don't think that this lower bracket is going to be the end for them as we take a look at the rest of this day.
Yeah, we're going to jump over to the Desto. Crazy Raccoon with a 2-0 as they advance through the upper bracket.
Hey, how's that prediction feeling, Uber?
So booty.
Why would you trend at that, bro? What are you saying? It didn't make any sense.
It was bold of you. It was bold of you. You did keep it spicy. I did ask for a little bit of
Did you give them you didn't give them a match?
No, we voted 2-0 together.
No, we've been when we were at the same
Yeah.
prediction, we're undefeated.
There's so much to dive into here. We only saw 2 maps, but I mean, I do think that like SSG knew they'd had to play a Winston mirror to try and get out of this game, and they knew that they just have to pound for pound try to find a way to match up to these guys. And it's a big ask. It's a big ask.
Not many in the world are able to do so,
I mean,
right?
yeah, look, the ban strategy here for Crazy Raccoon with map number 1 being control is always to try and set up your wrecking ball. So they ban Winston a lot of the time. The one sort of tank that can maybe dive a little more effectively than the ball in the right circumstances. And great, you banned out Hisek's Farah. He just plays Echo. He's the best Echo player in the damn world. Like, this team is everything.
I like the hazard look there from SSG, but it's too late. It's a composition that we see Nightmare use, like Lethal has a really good Sombra. But you see it here, right? Seeker is so good on the hit scan, it always feels a little bit criminal when he's not on it, and the fact that like
Bro was playing Sombra map 1, man. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I do think that like you really want to try and get an edge on a map like Ilios, which is definitely like a dive-friendly map. But when your opponent backs Winston, you're like, oh,
what are you gonna do?
So they try and play Diva, right? Which can't dive, can't outdive the ball, and often can't peel the ball adequately as well. And you're like you fully buy into like playing like a dive agnostic front line that doesn't have a hit scan that can be quite vulnerable, right? Like you even if you're Soj and you're sliding away, even if you're Ash coach gunning, you're still under a ton of pressure from this stuff. But I mean,
there's not many spots you're gonna find wins.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. We got to shout out our player of the match, though, for Crazy Raccoon being Lip. We saw a lot of flexibility from him coming out in this match.
Yeah, like, you know what's crazy to me is that I think that this team is crazy and Lip is incredible, but he might be the weak link on this team. And that is not saying much because he's still incredible, but he had a great series, and I think like saw his Tracer play. The fact that they have a hit scan that can flex the Tracer and set up the Echo Tracer comps is a big deal.
I would tend to agree.
I mean,
actually.
maybe Max, I guess, is like a pinch hitter, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think when you kind of go against some of these other teams, right? Like really for them, it's Falcons like needs to play that Sojourn at like an extremely high level, and he can. It's just not. It's not as like consistent as we see some of these other Sojourns. They enter the server every time; they're just dominating, right?
Yep.
So we'll see if he can continue the strong play, right? I know for the first a few minutes there, like Seeker was getting the better of him, but he started to come along later.
Yeah, you have to lean into the Sojourn gap. They were trying to create one. I do want to see SSG keep trying to lean into like the DPS skill expression. And like try and get Kellen on that Winston. They are a Winston team. I think that's definitely like the way they approach things. So we called them a game day team, Ash. I still think they are, but this is like a really, even for them.
Anything the game start tomorrow.
Okay, well, it's not the end of the line yet, right? Because let's take a look at the bracket. Let's see what's going on, because we do have 2 more matches left here for day 1. And it's crazy, Matt, that we're already going to be looking to send some teams home.
Man, it's fast. I mean, you fly all the way there to Hangzhou to